What is up, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Monday. I'm just getting my final thoughts done for the slate. Gonna have to change some lineup builds and do a couple little different things after we get off. And I still am waiting on, I believe, what lineup is that I'm looking for? Well, I'll tell you what. This Cardinals game in this weather is starting to get to me a little bit. Not necessarily that I'm worried about the game being postponed or anything like that. Just that it's cold, get the wind blowing in a little bit. Um, I just think that I don't know. Actually, you know what? I'm looking at it. I'm looking at a different weather thing. I've got the wrong weather things up there. So actually, it's better than it seems. So I scratched what I was about to say because I do like that team quite a bit. I'm going to go through my favorite plays really quick. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, et cetera, et cetera. My favorite stack is Toronto. I understand they'll have some ownership. I don't think it's going to be as much, maybe as some people are going to play. I think you're going to see a number of guys in the single digits, and you can stack them any which way, including guys like BGO, um, Kirk. Obviously, that's not really off the board, but you can go with the bottom of the order. Is basically what I'm trying to say. And I think it's a very viable route. And I'm just taking a quick look at my updated projections, but I think Toronto is my favorite. The Braves and the Nationals, I'm interested in both sides of that game. A little bit of weather concerns there, only because the Nationals do crazy stuff sometimes that worries me. But I think the Braves and Cardinals are my second, tied for my second. I don't mind a mini Cincinnati stack, and I like Houston and the Padres. So those are the stacks I like a lot in that order. And I think you can play the lefties from Houston, and they shouldn't be overwhelmingly high owned. But again, I still really like the stack of Toronto as my favorite. Pitchers, I'm going between a few different guys. So I am going to do the spend all the way down thing with Mike Minor and Thompson. I just think that you can get whatever you want. I built a stack that I absolutely love, and it literally fit perfectly right off the bat. First thing I tried to do today, I'm not changing it. It's in my, for those of you who have the premium, it's in my my early builds. I'm definitely going to have that in some lineups. Probably going to leave it in my big one as well as of right now, because I think that it is an interesting route to go. The Alcantara Nola thing is a tough one for me, to be honest with you. I give Nola the edge, but I do like Alcantara quite a bit as well, and I think the lower ownership makes it a little bit more appealing. So I'm open to the going Alcantara as a pivot if you want to do that. And I think Manoah is an incredible option that is not going to be as owned. Well, he'll be owned, but he's going to be owned. He's a slight pivot off of Nola. Is the way that I would put it. And the guy who I'm sort of fading and not getting any of is Alex Wood. And I'm not getting any Merrill Kelly. Those are the only ones with ownership. I will have some Christian Javier on FanDuel. He's been bad. And I will have some Yu Darvish, who I think people are completely writing off today for reasons that I don't entirely understand, because I think he's got a ceiling. I like the matchup, and it's a good spot. You do have an extreme hitters umpire in that game, so maybe, again, a little bit of a boost down for Darvish, maybe a little bit of a boost up for that stack. I think that Lance Lynn is too expensive at 96, but on FanDuel, he's 5,500. I don't know what his leash is going to be. He does have Bill Miller behind the plate, which should help him. So I'm into that idea. For what it's worth, the extreme hitters umpires on the slate are Toronto and the Toronto Baltimore game, as well as the Cubs game. So just something to keep in mind there as we go along. And Nola with a full strikeout higher prop than anybody except Nola and Alcantara. I think that's probably a reasonable route. And I actually think you're completely fine in playing those two guys together. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Why don't you guys pop on in with any questions or thoughts? We can talk a little NBA if you want to. As of right now, Steph is fade at your own risk. Yet somehow he's only 50% owned every slate, and I'm trying to figure out why that is. I don't really understand it. I know it's hard to pay up. The guys I'm gambling on, I will gamble a little bit on Bielicha. I will definitely play some Gary Payton, and I will definitely play some Peyton Pritchard. Actually, the Celtics might play a lot more Pritchard tonight than people think. They really needed another shooter out there in the fourth quarter, and I think that it would have been better off for them if they would have gone with Pritchard in the last game. Not sure, every game is different, but I don't mind the idea of getting some Peyton Pritchard tonight. This is what always happens. This is why I try to start on this show on the time, and then I go through my stacks, and everybody comes on and says, "What were the stacks?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just did the stacks." Okay, stacks. Toronto's my number one. After that, I have the Braves and Cards, and then a little bit of a drop off, but close is Houston. I also like the Nationals and Padres more for mini stacks, and Cincinnati for a mini stack as well. So those are the order of my stacks right there. And yeah, so that's basically where I'm at. One other weird, if the game does, and by the way, we have to worry about weather in that game with what's his name also with Lance Lynn. So just keep that in mind. I don't think playing. I think if you're going to consider playing Lance Lynn on FanDuel, you probably should consider playing Rony Garcia on DraftKings. I don't think Rony Garcia is all that bad, and at 5,500, he doesn't need to be great. So that's interesting. And I also think Ian Anderson is a sneaky one, but I'm not quite finding myself getting there. Josiah Gray is the other one who I was sort of interested in at first, and I just sort of come away from it. I don't care about Miner's ERA. I'm playing Miner, so I on a big slate, I don't like to play one of the worst offenses in baseball, so I won't play that much Arizona. They have been better this year, but I don't mind it. And Arizona's going to be popular, by the way. Like these guys are going to be owned. I actually think that some of the Arizona guys will be more owned than these obvious seeming stacks. I think Varsho is going to be very popular or going to have some ownership. He's because of the lefty. It's not going to be quite as much interest maybe in him. But Carson Kelly, Christian Walker, Luplow, even Marte, I expect all those guys to get some ownership in this matchup. Part of why I like Miner in this spot is because he's 4,700. First of all, he's got a leash. Even as he struggled, he's through 87 pitches. And by the way, even with Miner struggling, like if he gets me only 8 fantasy points, fine, I can live with that. And he did just face this team. They don't usually have 2 horrible outings against the same team in a row. But yeah, if you want to go the Arizona side, go ahead. I'm not doing it personally. I know other people really like it. A lot of guys are very high on that game. I am not as high, and I'm just going to double check, see if the roof is open. If the roof is open, it definitely gives more credit to the stack here. I'm just double checking. Let's see. And I have the roof. Come on, computer. I had closed today. So definitely, I like the long shot Mike Minor and Thompson together play. I'm going to do it. I don't care what anybody says. That's the way you can win a tournament. And I will get all the bats I want if I do that. Yeah, I think a full game stack for Atlanta and the Nats are totally fine. Absolutely. I think that's a really good game to target. You got a lot of things working positive. Atlanta's a good hitters park this time of year. I'm sorry, Washington's a good hitters park when it's this warm, 90 degrees out. I can definitely get on board with that whole game stack for sure. And there's Nick, my buddy Nick, and they're ready to talk some hoops. So guys, keep firing at it, even baseball, go back and forth. So I mentioned the guys who I was playing. So I don't know if Nick was here, but I'm getting the guys who I'm, the lower, higher risk ones are Peyton Pritchard, Bialica, and Gary Payton are my guys who I'm using quite a bit of, because I want to play Jalen, Jason, and Steph in basically all my lineups. And in order to do that, you're going to have to play some cheapies. Steph and Jalen Brown are my favorite captains. Next would be Tatum. And I don't mind the idea of Wiggins or a long shot play in Robert Williams, I think, as a potential one. I agree with you, Rich. We used to have the every other day. We did get it Wednesday and Friday when they were at home. At least when the teams are at home for the consecutive games, they should only be one day in between, in my opinion. I know they're trying to give guys a break this time of year, but like they just had to play through all the playoffs, and that's when everybody gets hurt. Maybe now is okay. We can just go to every other game. I think that would actually be nice. I'm a little frustrated with that myself. So fire on any more questions. I'm going to get out of here whenever you guys are done with the questions or thoughts. But I'm here for now. So let me know what you're thinking. Probably going to be an important day to take a look at Roth's weather report if you were interested in either the White Sox or in Lance Lynn on FanDuel at 5,500, or even Rony Garcia at 5,500 on DraftKings. And then I'm a little worried about the pop-up storms in Washington, just because the way Washington handles things is really weird. It'll be like they had a game where there was no rain that dropped last year that they postponed, like literally announced the delay at lock at the time the game was supposed to start. And then they just postponed the game. I was like, that's terrifying to me. No, I think FanDuel NBA Showdown is a joke, and I think that they should fix it. It's just a horrible, horrible, horrible setup, and it's just a complete joke. Showdowns on FanDuel. So I'll do it for other sports, but I have no interest in doing it for basketball because it's just there's no edge there. There's nothing interesting in on FanDuel for basketball to me. I don't see any real edge to be gained unless you just play somebody really weird and it happens to work. But yeah, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible system. All right, let's see. So yeah, we're on the same page with Rich. What other stacks, maybe that you guys are interested in? I know there's some other teams with some totals that we didn't really get into. One team that doesn't have a great total, but maybe getting a little bit overlooked here is I'm playing Zach Thompson, but if we're going to talk about playing Arizona, shouldn't we then think about playing some Pittsburgh bats? We've got Brian Reynolds as a really reasonably 3,900. I like him quite a bit. Mercano is leading off and he's 2.4K. That's just a good one-off at worst. Brian Hayes always in play. I think you could build like a little mini stack from Pittsburgh and feel pretty good about it tonight. So I'm okay with that, even though I'm playing some Thompson. Look, Rhodey's right in there. He's playing some Pitt bats. All right, there you go. But yeah, I think they're very viable. And everybody, I see everybody, all these people all day. I'm going to stack Miami. Let's go against Nola. And great, go ahead and try and stack if you want to. Now, even when Nola struggles, the guy doesn't walk people. You want to stack against guys who get wild. Nola does not get wild. Now, he does give up some home runs because of that, so there's some value there. You could always get occasional stolen base. If you're going to do anything against guys like that, get a mini stack, make a one-off play. Don't try to stack against guys that it's just such a hard route, especially on a big slate to get there. It's not like we're talking about Robbie Ray and will he be excellent or will he get crushed? It's like Nola is always good and that doesn't get wild. It's just hard for me to find the justification in doing that. It's scary to want to stack the Nats game after you talk about the way. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to do it this time, but they have handled things really poorly in the past. And it's really frustrating. I don't know what to say about it. It's a very, very bad situation. We've also seen them play sometimes when we thought they weren't going to. So it's just harder to get a read on than most of the other teams out there. So I don't trust it. Sharks likes the San Diego, like a 3-man. I love that. The Machado, Voit, Nola, that's a perfect 3-man. I love that. I think it's a great, great complementary 3-man. Third base, any night Jose Ramirez isn't playing is sort of up for grabs because there's a lot of good third basemen, but nobody's even close to Jose Ramirez for fantasy output. So, Arenado, Riley, I think people will go to. So sneaking in that little mini stack with Machado, I think is a really nice move there, Sharks. I'm a big fan of that myself. So I can certainly get behind it. Some housekeeping stuff. I do have a medical procedure that I'm going to be gone for parts of all of Thursday, parts of Wednesday, and parts of Friday. But again, I should be okay, hopefully. Knock on wood. And I'm sorry this is happening while she's just gone, but maybe I can ask Rhodey and our guy Justin or Goldie to possibly help fill in. No, the Tigers are not even on the map. I don't see any reason. Just because Lance Lynn had some bad outings in the minors is not a reason I'm going to get on a team with a 3.7 run total who can't hit for power on a big slate. I just have zero interest. The guy who you would play would be Javier Baez or Austin Meadows. Either one of those guys. If you wanted to squeak in a different guy and maybe make a mini, I guess it's okay. It's not what I'm doing. But I totally understand, there's nothing wrong with it. I certainly wouldn't be doing it with a full stack. They're so cheap that you can definitely make arguments for individual bats. Austin Meadows at some point will remember that he's a good baseball player. I just don't know when that's going to be. He's really fallen apart this season, and I love the talent on this kid. He's made me a lot of money in the past. He's just not been right all year long. What are you and Rudy think about Seattle and the late night hammer? I did not consider Seattle for a second today. For whatever that's worth, it doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. I think it's fine. I do think it's viable. I like Minnesota better than Seattle for what it's worth. I think Winker is a really reasonable play. I think Suarez, Ty France, Crawford, they get kind of expensive, but I don't mind it. Cal Raleigh in there. It is Archer, and we've seen him certainly have some struggles. He has been a little bit better of late, but I wouldn't mind it. One thing about Archer, though, is he hasn't been giving up a ton of bombs, even though he hasn't been striking out a ton of people either. He hasn't been striking out anybody, basically. But yeah, I could see the argument for Seattle. I think that's reasonable. Decent-ish bullpen behind him. Sort of depends on who you ask, I guess. So I don't mind that. I don't mind it. All right. With that, guys, pop in any more questions, any more thoughts, anything you're doing, because I'm going to be out of here in just about 4 minutes, and let's get through it. But again, so we probably won't have live on Wednesday, although I'm going to try to make it. We probably won't have live. We definitely won't have live on Thursday for me, but I'm going to ask to see if I can get Rhodey or Justin to maybe fill in. Yeah. Anyway. So that's pretty much where I am. And then the other basketball play, like I said, what I'm doing is not necessarily. I'm playing Jalen, Stephen, and Jason in every lineup. I don't think I'm going to veer from that. I might make one or two that leaves one of those guys out, but I don't know. It's just they get all the usage now. No, the ump in the Pittsburgh San Diego game is an extreme hitters ump, actually. So to answer that question. I know I'm sort of jumping around. I read as if like I'm not talking, maybe some people are just listening and they're not reading all the chat. So I probably should be a little bit more wary of that. But no, you got an extreme hitters ump in Chicago. And I think that's a really good spot to attack on the San Diego side. I still like Darvish. I don't really care. It's not great for him, I'll tell you that, but he's a guy who can get wild. But I do think that Darvish at 8,400 when everybody's paying up for all these other guys against the Cubs, I just think that I could easily see him being the best pitcher on the slate and no one's playing him. So I think that's my excuse, even though the extreme hitters umpire does worry me a little bit. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all. I will do my best to get everything covered. I'm going to try and make sure I get my stuff in every day, even if I have to, even during the day of the procedure. It may be hard for some of those days because it depends on how I respond to this procedure. So I will do the best I can. Let's see. Green Monster's got an interesting question. DK is a million maker for the U.S. Open on Thursday. Do I like the PGA or LIV golfers in the Open? I don't think about it like that. You just play the guys who are the best golfers and try to make the best lineup. I don't care what tour you belong to or affiliated with. No Rodriguez tonight for the Mariners. That's a big boost down for the Mariners because he's the guy you want to play. But I think you can get some. You could still play some of the other Seattle bats. But yeah, the no. That is definitely something of note. I'm going to take a double check because there was a couple other lineups that we needed to get out. Why isn't the Marlins lineup out yet? Can someone answer me that one? I mean, Jesus, that game starts in like 40 minutes. That's really weird. The other ones that I was waiting on were we want the St. Louis lineup at some point. Is this up to date? Because these games really not all there. That's so weird. I'm going to also have to change a few lineups because I was using some cheap bats that are no longer in there, namely hoping for the Colin Moran being in, but he wasn't. So that's that. Anyway, guys, good luck to everybody. I hope you guys crush it tonight. I'll be in Discord all night. We'll have Rhodey in there. Everybody's going to, pop off. Let's see some lineups. Let's have some sweats and let's make some money. Let's get it. Good luck to everybody tonight. And don't forget to like before you get out of here. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.